I went to St. Louis, Missouri the other day. Had Black Panthers from all over the country. No one knew about it at all. They had machine guns, recoilless rifles, grease guns, Lugers, 25 of them, all armed. And the chief police met me at the airport when I arrived, and they were there, right there at the steps. They said you were violating the law. Yeah, we're violating the law. They said, we're tired of our white and black leaders, Jackie and Martin and Bobby being killed. We're going to protect this man right here. They didn't arrest one of them. Because they said if you arrest one, then someone's going to die. Because we are ready to kill. Black power means black dignity. Just as surely as you're proud to be white, we're proud to be black. Black is beautiful, baby. It's pretty. I always say to my brothers, I say, they don't worry about the white chicks. We got everything from chalk to charcoal in our own race. Side by side with you, or through you. We're going to be with dignity and integrity. We don't want any more than you have, and we're not going to accept any less than you have. That's good enough.
Progress is being made. If you took a knife and might back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's below me. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less trying to heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
August 19th, 1952 as her birthday. However, she was born as Joanne Deborah Bryan, what she calls her slave name, in Jamaica, Queens, New York, where she grew up moving back and forth between her mom, aunt, and grandparents in Wilmington, North Carolina. Growing up in the Jim Crow era, Shakur's grandparents, Lola and Frank Hill, who owned a local dance hall, instilled in her a sense of dignity, especially regards to white people. They would tell her things like, "You're as good as anyone else. Don't let anyone tell you that they're better than you." And when it came to white people, she was forbidden from calling them ma'am or sir, looking down while speaking to them, or any other subservient gestures. In her autobiography, she writes, "I was told to hold my head up high, or risk having my grandparents knock it off my shoulders." Although Shakur experienced racism earlier in life, she wouldn't begin to radicalize into her late teen years. At 17 years old, Shakur dropped out of school and moved out on her own. She lived with strangers for a while until her Aunt Evelyn, who later became her lawyer, took her in and helped her get her GED. She would go on to attend Bureau of Manhattan Community College and later City College of New York. She made friends with many of the African students on campus. Then one day in 1964, a discussion on the roots of the Vietnam War changed her life. I never forgot that day. We're taught at such an early age to be against communists, yet most of us don't have the faintest idea what communism is. Only a fool lets somebody else tell him who his enemy is. She became active in different organizations like the Garveyites in the Republic of New Africa. And in the late 1960s, Assata would join one of the most prominent political organizations, the Black Panther Party. Though brief, her time with the Black Panthers would mark a life-changing turn of events in her political career. She had always revered the message of the Black Panther Party, especially because they made it really clear who the enemy was. Not the white people, but the capitalistic, imperialistic oppressors. Shakur has said that the party not being open to criticism led to her exit from the organization. In her autobiography, she writes, "Constructive criticism and self-criticism are extremely important for any revolutionary organization. Without them, people tend to drown in their own mistakes, not learning from them." Government infiltration, namely COINTELPRO, among other factors, led to the demise of the Black Panther Party, but not before its most prominent members had turned against each other, been killed, falsely imprisoned, or demonetized in the media. These events gave way to the Black Liberation Army, a group that the FBI named Shakur the heart of. BLA members operated under the belief that only through covert means, including but not limited to violent acts, could the movement be continued. This underground Black Party spinoff built its tactics around revolutionary violence with the goal to take up arms for the liberation of Black people in the United States. Acting as her own co-counsel in a 1976 trial for murder, Assata claimed in her opening statement, "The Black Liberation Army is not an organization. It goes beyond that. It is a concept, a people's movement, an idea. The idea of a Black Liberation Army emerged from conditions in Black communities. Conditions of poverty, indecent housing, massive unemployment, poor medical care, and inferior education." She continued, "The concept of the BLA arose because of its political, social, and economic oppression of Black people in this country. And where there is oppression, there will be resistance." From 1971 to 1973, Shakur was alleged to have committed a series of heinous crimes: 2 bank robberies in New York, the kidnap of a drug dealer, armed robbery, and the attempted murder of a policeman in an ambush. In 1972, the FBI issued a warrant for her arrest in connection with these crimes allegedly committed by the BLA. It was clear that the Black Liberation Army was a target for the FBI, local police agencies, and they were being pinned with every violent crime in the area. Assata would later either be acquitted for every charge or the case was dismissed. Then came the events of May 2nd, 1973, the fatal Jersey Turnpike shootout. There are different accounts of what happened that night, but what we do know is that Assata and her political associates, Zaid Malik Shakur and Sindada Akoli, were stopped by State Trooper James Harper, backed up by Trooper Wiener Forster for driving with a broken taillight. Shots were fired and Zaid Shakur and Wiener Forster were killed. After fleeing the scene, Assata, wounded with 2 gunshots to the arm and the back, surrendered to the police, and Akoli was captured after a 36-hour manhunt. Only the survivors know what really happened that night, and Assata refuses to share details even to this day. But in 1977, upon being found guilty, Assata maintains that the jury convicted a woman with her hands up. The trial was considered by many to be a miscarriage of justice, beginning with the jury selection. Transcripts show that at least 2 of the juries expressed prejudice before the start of the trial. 5 out of the 15 jurors selected, all white, were close friends or relatives to New Jersey state troopers. A major key in Assata's defense was medical testimony proving that during the confrontation, she was shot with her hands up, sustaining paralyzing wounds that would make her unable to fire a weapon in the manner that Trooper Harper had testified. Harper's testimony conflicted throughout the trial, and he testified to lying in his official report on the incident as well as in his grand jury testimony. And though there were no forensic evidence proving that Assata ever touched a gun that night, the jury found her guilty on all 8 counts. She was sentenced to life plus 30 years. Shakur spent years in jail before her conviction under conditions that most would consider to be deplorable. In her autobiography, she tells of being embarrassed and even tortured by police in the hospital after the incident. She was chained to her hospital bed and interrogated while gravely injured. She was even held in an all-male prison in solitary confinement for over 20 months and under 24-hour surveillance. She was beaten and given less than adequate medical care, even when she became pregnant with her only daughter, Kakuya. When the prison first found out she was pregnant, a doctor not only lied about her diagnosis multiple times, but he also refused to provide Shakur with any support besides an abortion. So in 1979, Assata Shakur had decided that it was time to go. On November 2nd, she escaped from the Clinton Correctional Facility for Women. It is said that a group of members of the Black Liberation Army helped Shakur escape by posing as visitors to the prison. Holding 2 correctional officers hostage at gunpoint, they stole a prison van to get off the facility grounds, leaving the hostages in the parking lot before switching cars and fleeing the scene. Shakur refuses to go into detail about her escape in solitary with those incarcerated due to their involvement. After breaking out of prison, Assata went on the run and remained underground for 5 years until fleeing to Cuba and receiving political asylum in 1984. To this day, Shakur remains in Cuba with the FBI classifying her as a domestic terrorist since May 2nd, 2005. In 2013, on the 40th anniversary of Trooper Forster's death, Shakur became the first woman added to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list. They placed a $2 million bounty on the activist. In 1998, Shakur told Source magazine, "The U.S. government tried to eliminate me, but I'm not a criminal like they want you to believe. Or a gangster. The FBI has a way of leaking all kinds of stories about me to the press, the same way they've always tried to criminalize the Black liberation movement. Because of this, we as a people have to be really clear about who we are and what we stand for. Even today, we see the media misconstrue the facts in many cases of social injustice, but with the emergence of social media, we're able to see the truth play out in real time." Robert Doyle, a lawyer connected to the BLA, is quoted in the book Days of Rage as saying, "Assata was never this massively important figure the police portrayed her as. She was important, but the police made up this mythic image of a super Black woman with an afro and a machine gun. She was never that." When asked if she would ever return to the United States, Assata told Essence magazine in 1997, "I don't know. I think it will be hard. It's funny. People ask me if I miss the States. I miss African Americans. I miss our culture, our speech, dance, and cooking, but not the U.S. government and all the things that they put me through. I miss my friends and family. When I ask how things are in the States, they don't give me the okie dokie. They say, honey, things are hard. It reminds me I have to keep struggling." And at the age of 75 years old, Assata Shakur remains in Cuba. Stay up to date with the latest news by subscribing here to our YouTube.
Liberation of oppressed people in the United States has to do not with climbing up some ladder to success, not for asking to be just like Rockefeller or just like DuPont or just like Ford, because that would only continue the oppression and exploitation of oppressed people in the United States, and specifically African people born and raised in the United States. Socialism is an integral part of building social justice on this planet. The condition of my people, my history, was very much connected with other oppressed people, and I began to see that the same foot that was on the necks of the Vietnamese people, that was on the necks of all oppressed people on the planet, was the same foot that was on my neck. And so I began to understand that imperialism has to go. It is a poison that is killing people all over this world. The priorities of this planet have to be completely changed. And instead of profits, instead of policies that destroy the earth, that destroy the water, that destroy human beings, I believe a policy that protects people, that makes people live in a community, a world community. That's what I believe. That's my basic.
40 years the FBI has been searching for this woman. They believed for all this time that she had been in Cuba, but they were not able to extradite her from Cuba because of the bad relations that we had with Fidel Castro. As you point out, we are learning about her death today, and it was all around the conviction and the execution-style murder of a New Jersey state trooper. He was 32-year-old Rena Forrester, and this came as a result. He was shot and killed as a result of the police stopping the car that she was in because she had been part of a nationwide manhunt because she was a suspect in a grenade attack on police back in the early 1970s. And as you point out, she escaped from that prison, went to Cuba. She was born in 1947 in New York, grew up in New York and North Carolina. And at one point, she had joined the Black Panthers and became a part of the Black Liberation Army. And you point out also that she changed her name. And living in Cuba all this time, they had even thought that when Barack Obama was president, when he went over to Cuba, that he might bring up this case and try to get her from Cuba. Didn't happen. According to Cuban authorities, she died in of old age and of health complications. She was 78 years.
My name is Assata Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves. I spent my early childhood in a racist, segregated South. I later moved to the northern part of the country, where I realized that black people were equally victimized by racism and oppression. I grew up and became a political activist, participating in student struggles, the anti-war movement, and most of all, in the movement for the liberation of African Americans in the United States. I later joined the Black Panther Party, an organization that was targeted by the COINTELPRO program, a program that was set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation to eliminate all political opposition to the U.S. government's policies, to destroy the black liberation movement in the United States, to discredit activists, and to eliminate potential leaders. Under the COINTELPRO program, many political activists were harassed, imprisoned, murdered, or otherwise neutralized. As a result of being targeted by COINTELPRO, I, like many other young people, was faced with the threat of prison, underground, exile, or death. The FBI, with the help of local police agencies, systematically fed false accusations and fake news articles to the press, accusing me and other activists of crimes we did not commit. Although in my case the charges were eventually dropped or I was eventually acquitted, the national and local police agencies created a situation where, based on their false accusations against me, any police officer could shoot me on sight. It was not until the Freedom of Information Act was passed in the mid-'70s that we began to see the scope of the United States government's persecution of political activists. At this point, I think that it is important to make one thing very clear. I have advocated, and I still advocate, revolutionary changes in the structure and in the principles that govern the United States. I advocate self-determination for my people and for all oppressed people inside the United States. I advocate an end to capitalist exploitation, the abolition of racist policies, the eradication of sexism, and the elimination of political repression. If that is a crime, then I am totally guilty. To make a long story short, I was captured in New Jersey in 1973 after being shot with both arms held in the air and then shot again from the back. I was left on the ground to die, and when I did not, I was taken to a local hospital where I was threatened, beaten, and tortured. In 1977, I was convicted in a trial that can only be described as a legal lynching. In 1979, I was able to escape with the aid of some of my fellow comrades. I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice. I was also afraid that I would be murdered in prison. I later arrived in Cuba, where I am currently living in exile as a political refugee. The New Jersey State Police and other law enforcement officials say they want to see me brought to justice. But I would like to know what they mean by justice. Is torture justice? I was kept in solitary confinement for more than 2 years, mostly in men's prisons. Is that justice? My lawyers were threatened with imprisonment and imprisonment. all-white jury without even the pretext of impartiality and then sentenced to life in prison plus 33 years. Is that justice? Let me emphasize that justice for me is not the issue I am addressing here. It is justice for my people that is at stake. When my people receive justice, I am sure that I will receive it too.
Cool. Rest in power.
Run over 40 years, the FBI has been searching for this woman. They believed for all this time that she had been in Cuba, but they were not able to extradite her from Cuba because of the bad relations that we had with Fidel Castro. As you point out, we are learning about her death today, and it was all around the conviction and the execution-style murder of a New Jersey state trooper. He was 32-year-old Rena Forrester, and this came as a result. He was shot and killed as a result of the police stopping the car that she was in, because she had been part of a nationwide manhunt because she was a suspect in a grenade attack on police back in the early 1970s. And as you point out, she escaped from that prison, went to Cuba. She was born in 1947 in New York, grew up in New York and North Carolina. And at one point, she had joined the Black Panthers and became a part of the Black Liberation Army. And you point out also that she changed her name. And living in Cuba all this time, they had even thought that when Barack Obama was president, when he went over to Cuba, that he might bring up this case and try to get her from Cuba. Didn't happen. According to Cuban authorities, she died in of old age and of health complications. She was 78 years old.